So today we're going to talk about one of the worst financial mistakes you can make, and especially what I'm seeing is this financial mistake made between 18 to 24-year-olds, and hopefully this video or this awareness about this stops people making this big financial mistake. And right now, I think there's obviously a big lack of financial education in the UK, taught in colleges, taught in schools, talked about in university, that hopefully this video helps you avoid making this mistake. Because I know people that have made this mistake and it ends up knocking them back a few years because they end up taking big amounts of debt on for many years that they really struggle to pay off. And that's probably the reason right now when we look at a lot of young people, and I reckon if there was more of a study taken on this, this would be one of the main reasons why young people have so lack of savings and so much debt. As we can see here, that almost 2 in 5 people, 37% of 18 to 24-year-olds are already in debt. And this, for me, is one of the main issues, or one of the main causes why so many young people are in debt. And this video came to me through TikTok. I was going through TikTok, and this wasn't the video, but it was a very similar thing. And if you were searching through TikTok and you searched in car finance, there is videos after videos of young people, 18 to 24-year-olds, talking about car finance and saying they've took on car finance and they are saying it's the worst financial decision that they've ever made. And that's so true. And I reckon if there was more studies done on this, it would be a big alarming rate about how many people, especially at a young age, get stuck into awful car finance deals. Now, first of all, the main thing, one of the big issues that you have is that people are buying they think they're buying an asset, but the thing is that cars depreciate in value. So you end up paying, 20, 30 grand for this car, and in 4 or 5 years time, that car is going to be worth so much less than what you paid for it. So that's the main issue, is that they're paying all this money and they're getting a depreciating asset, which you don't want to see. But also, some of these cars that people are buying at such a young age on these car finance products, they are expensive. As you can see here, one of the more popular cars that a lot of people like to finance at a young age, like an Audi A3, for example, you're talking 30,000. You're talking a BMW 1 Series, 24,000 for this car. And a lot of young people are financing these products at a young age, and at the time, it seems like a good idea, and they get 3, 4, 5 years down the line, and then they realise this is one of the worst financial mistakes I could have made. The reason why that a lot of people are taking this, I think at the start, is that, first of all, a lot of around the age 18 to 24-year-olds, you get your first job. You get your first job, you're getting this money coming in, and you're thinking, oh, what can I do with this money? And the first thing is, you know what, I'm going to go buy a nice car. Now, the problem is these cars are big amounts of payments. And also, I think that they are maybe also a symbol of status that people get, like, yeah, I'm going to get this car to show off. And it's like, eventually they realize the buzz kind of goes, and then they're stuck with this car that's depreciating in value, and they go, oh, right, it was worth it for the first month, and now that actually this isn't worth it. And also, I think there's a lack of education around these financing products, because when you look at these financing products, people don't realize what they're actually getting into. They're already paying that big lump sum at the start. They're then having to pay monthly payments. So if we look at, for example, at this car here, you're paying £458 a month, which at first is okay. But when you get into year 3, year 4, year 5, the buzz has gone from this new car, and then they're still paying this amount of money, then this isn't great. The other example, like a BMW 1 Series that sometimes some people would go get, £577 a month. And sometimes people are even paying more than this. People are paying £700, £800 more, a month, which is absolutely insane. But they're making all these monthly payments. And at the start, it's easy access for them. This is probably one of the issues, and it goes back down to the lack of financial education that is taught in schools. People don't realize that when they're buying these products, that they do this big lump sum up front, then they have to go get these monthly payments, and then what happens is they probably have a balloon payment at the end, and then they don't realize, and they get stung again. And then at the time, they're buying these cars at 18, 19, 20, 21, and these deals are going for 4 or 5 years. And then by the time these deals are running out and they've actually paid off this car outright, they're about 26, 27. And then when they're 26 or 27, they want to go buy a house. Now, the problem is they can't go buy a house because a lot of their free salary every month, the £400, £500 a month, has been going to paying this car. They think, well, I'll go sell the car off. The problem is they can't sell the car off then, because the car that they paid 30 grand for is now worth, 15,000 if you're lucky, maybe even 10, 5,000. And then all of a sudden they realise, hold on, I've had a big chunk of my salary, maybe 25% of my salary every month going to pay for this car. this car is now absolutely worth nothing, or it's depreciated so much, and now I want to go buy a house or something, I've got no free money, because a lot of the free money that could have been saving up over the last 4 or 5 years has gone into this thing that's lost a ton of value, and they get stung. And even worse than that, sometimes sometimes people go buy something like this, a new car, and then 2 or 3 years then they go buy another car on top and get themselves even into more debt, and then the cycle builds up. And a lot of people get stung by this, and this is why, you look at TikTok or other places that you see so many young people that when they're 18, 19, 20, and they get the first salary, it seems such a good idea getting one of these finance products, and then all of a sudden they realise, actually, this is an absolute terrible mistake. And what people should get to a point of view is that they don't want to be buying assets that, well, if you're buying something that's depreciating in value, it's not an asset, it's a liability. And if you want to be doing quite well financially, unfortunately, you need to be buying more assets and liabilities. You buy more assets, you buy more things that bring you money in, then you can afford to go get the liabilities. But what happens is straight away people get their income and they get liabilities that ends up getting them break even and they save no money. You need to be building more and more assets, and then eventually you can start getting your liabilities up a little bit more. Just to show you an alternative here. So rather than getting yourself into these debts of, for 4 or 5 years and buying these big car finance products of £458 a month or £577 a month, what people should be doing is creating more wealth for them at such a young age. You have all this free money, start building wealth, and then further down the line, 3 or 4 years down the line, okay, you have to have a little bit of patience. Maybe everyone's getting themselves into debt the first couple of years, but if you're buying assets, then you can go afford these liabilities because you'll be having more money. So for example, if we were to have a look at a compound calculator, and let's say you were paying £5,000 up front for one of these cars, let's say you were getting a 10% interest rate over the next 5 years, which you can do. If you were to go put this money into something like the S&P 500, which on average returns 10% a year, really easy investment. You can go start investing in the S&P 500 with a link in the description to Trading 212, and you sign up on there and you can actually buy the S&P 100 from that platform. You start buying the S&P 500, then what you're going to be able to do is you're going to get 10% on average a year. Obviously, some years it'd be a little bit less, some years it'd be a little bit more. If you look at the last 5 years, the S&P 500 returned 105% in the last 5 years. But just getting back to a point of view, so if you look at that initial payment that you would have to pay for a car up front, which was about £5,000, let's say £500 a month instead of £400 a month. So £5,000 up front, 10% interest, S&P 500, over 5 years, £500 a month that you would have to pay on your car payment. Instead of doing that expensive car, you go invest in that. Look at what you would have. Your 35,000 then would actually be worth 47,000. So in 5 years' time, instead of buying one of these cars, you're buying these assets, and not buying these assets, you're buying these liabilities, and these are going to lose a ton of value. At the end of 5 years, when you've paid your upfront payment, by the time you paid your £500 a month and you come back in 5 years' time, you're going to have something that's only worth a couple of thousand. If you actually go invest that in over those 5 years, look at how much you could have. £47,000. And then, you know what you can do in 5 years' time? Well, with £47,000, you can go buy outright that car. Or you can even go buy something that maybe a vehicle that depreciates a lot less than one of these, because obviously these are going to depreciate really fast. And that should be taught a lot more in schools. And honestly, the amount of people that fall in the mistake of, especially on the young category, of 18, 19, 20, going out, buying a car with the first paycheck, maybe it's a status symbol, and they go buy it, and then within 1 year, even a couple of months' time, but 1 year, 2 years' time, and they're paying this monthly payment all the time, and 25% of their free salary is going to this, and then they realise that they want to get rid of it, and then they realise how much it's lost in value, and they think, what a mistake I've made. And they're in this cycle for the next 4 or 5 years of spending so much of their monthly salary on here. And they get themselves into big debt, and that debt builds, and it sets them up in such a bad way, because when you get out of some of these finance deals, some people are like 25, 26, and then they want to go buy a house, and the problem is they've got no spare money because they've been paying this expensive liability off that's not worth any money. And what people should be taught first is, before you get this status symbol that will wear off after a month, 2 months, invest, get yourself more wealth. Build yourself more wealth. And then if you build yourself more wealth, then what you're able to do is you have more money. And then with more money, you're not having to take on these big debt payments. You're able to go spend even more money on something that you would like to treat yourself with, or you could even use that money to even build yourself even more wealth, and then you have that snowball effect on your investing journey start building up. But yeah, I don't know what it is with some of these car finance deals at the moment, but it seems like they're so easy to access. Like there seems no scrutiny when you're applying for some of these deals, and they do accept people that maybe can't afford them with the monthly salary. Lack of education around what it actually means to take on these car finance deals, and then just not realizing that actually when they start planning the journey out, that actually they have this finance deal for many years, and how much of that salary that's going to be eaten up. It's not very good for the financial journey. You know, when they realize they're 24, 25 and they've got no financial savings because 25% of the salary has been going on this vehicle that's lost them a lot of money, it's not worth as much now. Then the reality gets in and like, what have I just done? There's nothing wrong with starting off small and building yourself up. That's the best way to do it. But obviously, you know, straight away people just jump, and as soon as they have the ability to go get something and not realizing actually the knock-on effect that will have on the financial journey. So I hope that helps a few people. Obviously a little bit different to a stock market video today, but a very important one because I thought I'd make a video on it because, like I said, I've been seeing it on TikTok in a few places, and hopefully people don't make any of these mistakes by loading on a load of debt for cars, car financing deals, and you know, stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. There's nothing wrong with building up slowly and building more wealth in the long term, because you'll get the rewards in the long term. Right, thanks for watching, guys. See you in a bit.